types of behaviors portrayed by people suffering from obsessive compulsive disorders, as well as the debilitating nature of the illness that some endure. I believe this will bring an understanding of the illness so that we can offer empathy rather than the ridicule that some people are subjected to. Have you ever watched someone as they continue to wash their hands over and over again, or as they struggle to walk across the floor and count their steps? I'm interested in these behaviors because I have some of these tendencies. My experience with obsessive compulsive tendencies makes me a good candidate to discuss this disorder. The obsessive compulsive disorder involves strange behaviors that are often difficult to explain and even harder to understand. Realizing the different features of OCD, as well as the perspectives on different treatments, will explain some of the reasoning behind these behaviors, as well as other OC-related disorders. I'll start by describing some of the features of OCD. As described by Ronald Comer in 2015 in Abnormal Psychology, OCD is comprised of both obsessive and compulsive features. Obsessions are persistent thoughts, ideas, impulses, or images that we just can't get out of our heads. Obsessive thoughts feel wrong, but trying to avoid them causes more anxiety. These thoughts come in several different forms. There are wishes. Maybe you spend a lot of time wishing you'll win the lottery. There are ideas. Maybe you think there are germs on everything. That would be me. And doubts. You constantly doubt your decisions or your ability to even make decisions. Compulsions are repetitive and rigid behaviors or mental acts that people feel they must perform in order to prevent anxiety. These behaviors are done voluntarily, but the people doing them worry that trying to avoid them will cause something horrible to happen. There are many different types of compulsions. Compulsive cleaning, checking to make sure everything is turned off, everything's just right, all the lights are off, everything's unplugged. Doing this one time is fine, but over and over again, it's not good. And then there's compulsive ordering, people that have to have the pencils just so, or the silverware just so, and they spend a lot of time straightening it. Obviously, people with OCD suffer from extensive feelings of anxiety that they are trying to relieve. My second point is the different perspectives on the explanations and treatments of OCD. The psychodynamic perspective in AQA Psychology, which was published in 2016 in the UK, Freud, we're all familiar with Freud, he believed that if someone was going to have OCD, these behaviors began around age 2. Some causes would be if a child's parents were very, very persistent in wanting their children to be very neat and tidy. If the child's natural tendency is to be messy, then the parent's persistence could cause OCD behaviors, according to Freud. Also, according to Freud, if parents were too strict, the child can become fixated on behaviors. Treatments following this perspective have not been successful and are not widely used. The behavioral perspective says OCD is a learned avoidance behavior. Something happens that causes fear or anxiety, and the avoidance of that event becomes a reaction. This is the most widely believed perspective, which is why behavioral therapy is very effective. Example of behavioral therapy would be causing someone to drop a cookie on the floor and have to pick it up and eat it. That would be therapy. Or coming in from the grocery store or someplace public and having to eat your lunch without washing your hands first. I can certainly see myself when it comes to eating food off the floor or washing my hands. I hate germs, and the thought of doing either one of those just makes me crazy. Finally, some consider this last group to be more severe than others, as described in the other disorders, As described in the OCD Education Station, which was published in 2016, the first one is called hoarding disorder. Now, you all have seen the TV show Hoarders. That's what this is. The next one is body dysmorphic disorder. This is a preoccupation with a part of your body, maybe your nose or your feet, it can be anything. And people that suffer from this want to hide that part of their body from people, so sometimes they just stay inside and they don't go anywhere. Trichotillomania is pulling hair from the body to relieve anxiety, and excoriation is constant picking of the skin or sores to relieve anxiety. In closing, these behaviors portrayed by people suffering from OCD can be debilitating and make life very difficult. I talked earlier about my own OCD tendencies. Learning more about the disorder and its treatments makes me appreciate what many people with OCD go through on a daily basis. My research has given me a greater respect for those with OCD and OC-related disorders. Recently, TV shows have sensationalized some of the OC-related disorders, and what these people need is understanding and kindness as they go through treatment and overcome their illness.